My husband is the most incredibly handsome and kind man I've ever met, and yet I tossed him to the side to have some mediocre fun time with a sleazebag who I'll never see again. Even my sister has decided she doesn't want to see me for a while. She said she can't trust me around her husband. I'm sure all of his friends know what happened, because all of them have me blocked on social media now. I deserve this and so much more. I know I shouldn't have, but I saw my husband today. Word has spread around my office about what I had done. I kept getting looks from my coworkers and I couldn't take it anymore, so I quit my job. My first day off was today, and I've spent most of it crying. I couldn't take it anymore, so I drove to our house to speak to him. I know I promised him space, but it was like someone was sitting on my chest. I was hoping we could talk. Part of me was also hoping he would be at work and I wouldn't see him, because I know he doesn't want to see me. When I walked in the door, he was standing there, looking at me with an emotionless expression on his face. I told him I wanted to hear his voice, and was just looking to talk. Without thinking, he told me to go back to my parents' place. He sounded so fed up with me. I tried telling him how I was feeling, but he just said he needs time to think about everything. His best friend was there and she started yelling at me, telling me to go. I tried saying I just wanted to speak to my husband, and she laughed, telling me I might as well start calling him my ex. He stopped her, which I appreciated, and asked her to give us some time to talk. She was clearly reluctant but did walk out of the room. I asked him if he was going to go to marriage counseling this week and he said no. He told me he doesn't know if we'll be able to make it past this, since he doesn't see me as his wife anymore. I told him I wouldn't fight it if he wanted a divorce, but if he was willing to give me a chance, I'd do anything to earn back his trust. I told him I'd quit my job and I'd find one that meant I could work from home. I wouldn't take a trip anywhere unless he came with me. I'd only drink around him and only drink if he did. I'd give him access to my phone and social media, and he'd have my location at all times. He just looked at me and said he isn't a prison guard and has no intention of becoming one. I tried telling him it isn't about being a prison guard. It's about showing him I'm serious, about earning back his trust. He looked down and told me that it was highly unlikely. He asked me if I've ever cheated before and I promised him I haven't. He asked me to explain what happened that night, all the details. I didn't want to, but I did. He just looked at me the whole time, silently listening. I didn't spare anything. I told him everything. So that's all it took for you to destroy our marriage? Some guy offering to buy you drinks and complimenting you is all it took? He asked. I was a mess at this point. I told him I was wrong and selfish. I had done something unforgivable, but I was determined to show him how much I love him. He just looked down and said, "It's clear you never truly loved me. You love yourself, and you loved what I could give you, but you never loved me. If you truly loved me, you wouldn't have cheated. Even just the thought of sleeping with you makes me nauseous." He told me he didn't need to hear any more, and me showing up to speak to him was proof I didn't care about his needs. He said he was going to find a divorce lawyer in the next 2 weeks and start the process. It felt like a knife in my back. I begged him to wait until we had finished our counseling, and while he agreed that I should go through with it, he said our marriage was over. He told me he'd be willing to split our money down the middle, and sell the house so we could start our own again. But once the divorce was done, he didn't want anything to do with me. He'd seen my true colors, and he hated them. He told me to grab anything I needed from the house, and that the next time he'd speak to me would be with whoever he hires to be his divorce lawyer. I hate myself. I've ruined my marriage not even 5 years into it. I've been struggling to sleep longer than 3 hours, and when I do I have these awful nightmares that make me feel empty. My counseling session is in a couple of days, but I'm not doing well at all. I can't really talk to anyone either, because all of my close friends have been supporting my husband now that they know about my infidelity. My sister won't talk to me or return any of my messages. My dad is seeming to do everything he can to avoid me. And Mai is giving me the silent treatment. My whole life has collapsed around me. I understand that I don't deserve to be coddled, but I can't even speak to my parents about how I'm doing. I've barely been able to eat, I have no appetite, and most of what I do now is cry in my room at my mom and dad's house. I hate that. I feel dirty. I keep showering, but the feeling doesn't go away. I just want to be with my husband. I know I have no right to feel like this, but I find myself daydreaming about being with him again like that, even if just to make that my last intimate experience. I don't know where to proceed from here. Do I really just have to come to terms with the fact that my husband hates my guts?